These were the days, I remember them. These were the days, I remember something well with this song. Well, folks, I have to tell you, I am very, very excited to make this video for me personally. It's a trip down memory lane. I hope you'll stick by and enjoy it. When I made the video that I opened up this video with, when I was playing a little bit of Hooked on a Feeling, I didn't know I was going to take it this far, but then I thought, you know, why not? I'm going to take a ride to my old neighborhood where I grew up when I was a boy in the 1970s, Queens, New York. I figured what I would do is just take us back to the record store area that I used to go in. The record store, of course, is no longer there, where I bought my very first 45s when I was just a kid. Now, we would be talking about the years roughly 1970 through 1975. So we're talking about 45 to 50 years ago. Of course, things will have changed a lot since then, but I got this idea to make this video 6:30 in the morning on a Sunday, and hopefully make it entertaining and a little bit of nostalgia for me and hopefully for you. So join me and hang on for the ride. I would be about anywhere from 8 to 13 years old, I guess, in this particular chunk of time with the memories I'm presenting. I remember when these apartment buildings were just frames and dirt. I used to play over here on the hills. Memories, folks. Memories of being a kid. Good old days. Okay, now we're on the block that I grew up in. It was always very shady here. Some of the trees have been cut down on this side here, but it was always very shady. And we're going to use this as a starting point. I'm parked right in front of the house that I grew up in, and I lived here from 1970 to 1979. So the 70s were spent here. Now, when we would go to buy records, we'd walk either by ourselves, but usually with some cousins or some friends, and take a walk to the record store. Of course, at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, you didn't drive, right? So here we go. Let's take the walk. Now, this was a long walk for a kid to where the record store was, and I would say, just an estimate, it would take 45 minutes to an hour to walk there, maybe. You'd go down here, and although things have changed a lot, this is always the way I remember it. Lots of trees, and there's an L train down here at the end. It's going by now. You can see it up there, maybe. You would hang a left here and take a walk. We're coming up here to the staircase. And this is how I would go into Manhattan when I got a little older. I would take the train here and go into New York City. Be about an hour ride into New York, I guess. And it's always my regret that seeing John Lennon at the Dakota building was that easy, but I just never took advantage of it. So you would walk down here on foot. And it seemed at the time, as a kid, that it was a walk that would take forever. Now not so much. But back then, of course, as a boy, yeah, it seemed pretty lengthy. And then over here is the old cemetery. There's some people in there from the 1800s born and died. Right now, as I look at the clock here, I clock it in at 7:23 a.m. I figured I'd come here really early before there was a crowd. And yeah, this was the walk. And in the distance, you'd come to the end of the trains where the L would kind of veer off and go underground from here. As you can see, train would go off there onto the side and go underground. And then from here, it was a little bit more of a walk. This was a shopping area that we called City Line. And I'm sure some people watching this will even be familiar with this. And of course, as I said, the record store is no longer here. There used to be a record store over here called Jerry's Records. And I think it was where that City Line Pizza, and it still says City Line. City Line Pizza and Pasta. Maybe where that Metro awning is. There was a record store here called Jerry's Records. I never really bought that many records here, but I did buy Ringo's Bad Boy album here in 1978. I remember that. And some other solo Beatle records. But you'd have to go down a ways. Well, a series of stores here, and I don't really know exactly which store it was. Somewhere along all these rows of stores here, God only knows where at this point. And it wasn't this dirty. There wasn't this much graffiti or anything here like there is now. But somewhere along here would be the record store. So I figure that I shopped here. Well, I'm recording this just for posterity, but I don't remember this much graffiti or anything when I was growing up. Okay, well, I just reversed my direction. I'm going back now the way that I first came. And I just thought I'd go to the opposite ends of the trains here and show you a movie theater. It's no longer a movie theater. You'll see what it's become. And it's a movie theater where I saw many, many films growing up as a kid. And let's just breeze by that. First, coming up on the right will be a candy store that I bought all my comic books and Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine in. It's closed now, not open yet. That's where I bought all my magazines. And over there, way on the left, you'll see a Modell's Sporting Goods store. That was actually the Cross Bay movie theater. I saw Westworld, Soylent Green, the 5 Planet of the Apes movies all together. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I think I even might have seen the movie Help when I was 3 years old there. It's a shame that it's become, a Modell's. You can see that they actually use that theater awning in the King of Queens TV show. Well, there's one of the old landmarks, still exactly the same as I remember it, New Park Pizza. This is where we used to get our pizza delivered from. I just want to take a trip up a different way here, just to share a memory with you folks. Now, a lot of people have been watching me for a long time. Whenever I discuss the old top 40 radio songs of my youth, and talking about the early 70s, and when I talk specifically about Paul McCartney's Wings at the Speed of Sound album in 1976, and the song Silly Love Songs and Let 'Em In, I often refer to going to Rockaway Beach with my mom and some cousins and my sister. We'd all hop in the car. My mother, on a Saturday morning, a beautiful day just like this, we would go to the beach and put the AM radio on. And I remember that, among other things, songs that were big hits then were Silly Love Songs and Let 'Em In, and Gotta Get You Into My Life when it came back again, the Beatles song that I thought was a Wings song in 76. Well, I'm showing you this now because this is the way we went to the beach. And I remember going over this overpass here, and to this day, anytime I think of that early music or I think of listening to Wings, I always think of going over this, these overpasses here. There's another one coming up too. And you'd have songs like 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover would be a hit while we're driving down here, and Turn the Beat Around, Vicky Sue Robinson. Songs I remember from that era. I remember Love Hangover by Diana Ross being a big hit when we were going to the beach. of little houses here. Kind of like a boating community, a beach community here. And all the while, those early 70s songs will be playing as we went on our way with our towels and our baskets, and sandwiches, and in our bathing suits, headed for the beach. The second bridge we're going over now, they called it the second bridge. These days you get billed by mail if you don't have an easy pass. This is what we called the second bridge. We're getting closer to the beach, and this is it, folks. When I hear silly love songs, this is always what I'm thinking of as it's playing. There it is. There's the sign. Welcome to Rockaway Beach. And then we'd go up there and we'd go onto the boardwalk and swim. I decided to pull off the road and stop here to make the rest of my video. I was going to do it when I got back home, but since I'm in Queens, and this is about Queens, I think I'll finish off here. Well, my memories of the record store was, the store was called Records and Tapes. Not a very, exciting title, pretty basic. And as I say, we'd walk down there, and that's where I bought my first 45s. Now, I don't remember all of them. I had a list at home that I had prepared. I have to do it from memory here. But I remember in those days, one of the earliest singles I remember buying was Dragging the Line, Tommy James. I bought like early 70s stuff like Indian Reservation, Brand New Key, Popcorn by Hot Butter. I bought Benny and the Jets, Elton John. I remember buying Nice to Be With You by Gallery. All kinds of stuff. The Entertainer, theme to The Sting. The main title from Jaws, that 45. The whole period from 1970 to 1975. I remember buying all kinds of records at the Records and Tape store. And great memories. I remember the owner. You know, when you're like 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, everybody looks old to you, right? I don't know how old this guy was. I seem to think he was in his 50s, maybe in his early 60s. I don't know. People always seemed older than when you were young. I remember this guy really looked the part, you know. He had gray hair. Kind of like, he looked like Gary Puckett from Gary Puckett in the Union Gap. He had like the gray hair down over the ears on his side. He was an overage hippie. Even though it was 1971, 72, 73, he had a big peace sign, big chain with a peace sign around him. And he always looked like he was in a pissed off mood anytime you would try to get a record or ask him about a record. Very intimidating person, you know. Never smiled, always looked like he had a bug up his butt about something. But I remember at the top here when I played that Blue Swede, which I think is the name of the group, Blue Swede, version of Hooked on a Feeling, cover version. You know, back then I thought the Ooga Shaka thing was so cool. Now I think it's absolutely cringeworthy. But back then I thought it was so cool. I remember when I heard it on the radio, I went to buy the 45. And, the guy was kind of like taken aback, I said to him, there's a song that I heard that I want to buy. I think it's called Hot on a Feeling. And he just looked at me with disdain and went, Hooked on a Feeling. It would be like me today if somebody said, there's a song I want to buy called A Hard Day's Time. You know, I could see getting annoyed these days myself, saying hard day's night. You know, but that's how it was. Yeah, I remember buying Michael Jackson's cover song, Rockin' Robin, when it was a single and a hit. So many things. The Carpenters, Top of the World. There's way too many songs to remember. You know, one of the oddest things to me when I think back to these memories of me buying the 45s at that store, I don't ever remember buying a solo Beatles single in that period, 70 to 75 there. I mean, I know I had My Sweet Lord, the George Harrison hit, on a single. I don't know where I got it from. Well, folks, I guess that's it for this video, and thank you all for watching. Very special for me, nostalgic, you know, heartwarming, all those fuzzy feelings you get of your youth. Okay, guys. Talk to you all later.